You know, up until this time, the Des Moines Symphony had 82 consecutive seasons of music making, all the way dating back to 1937. So to stop our production for 18 months and then to pivot to the live streams, which we did to great success, was really quite remarkable. It again speaks volumes about our organization and how we feel about serving the community. We were going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of Beethoven, so now this is the 251st anniversary of Beethoven, so there'll be a heavy smattering of Beethoven throughout the season.
Beethoven was a transitional figure, and he takes the balance and the desires of the classical era, the craftsmanship that we expect, and moves it toward an era of imbalance in music, because imbalance is where we draw emotion.
There's always a connection in Beethoven's music. So if it was 200 years ago, it connected with the audiences, and if it's 2022, it connects with the audience.
To celebrate the true depth of humanity, that this composer who, for the last part of his life, couldn't even hear the music he composed with his ears. He could hear it in his inner ear and in his mind, but he never heard it performed. It's truly a miracle. And this man rose above adversity and contributed something that we as human beings in a completely different nation, in a completely different time period, still feel is one of the types of music that touch us deeply in our soul. And I think that's really reason to celebrate him.
Beethoven's music transcends over time, and that's what I draw upon, even playing it, because I've played all of these symphonies several times over my career, but I always learn something about his music every time I play it.
So across the course of the season, we get to explore Beethoven as an individual, but we also get to experience music that is transitional, coming from the past, moving toward the future, and everything else that we experience across the season reflects that. Where we come from the past, how we struggle with that, and where we find a vision for the future.
We begin with a piece that I just think is absolutely gorgeous for strings by the African-American composer George Walker.
Walker's music is driven by counterpoint, that is, the way the lines pull apart from each other. As the music pulls down, there's always something pulling up. That tension really pulls on the heartstrings, and he does this essentially mercilessly throughout. It's something that really can't be experienced in any other way.
We're going to follow that with a terrific piece of music that's unique in the repertoire by Beethoven, and it's called the Triple Concerto. It's soloist, piano, violin, and cello. And it's unique because there just aren't many pieces written for those three solo instruments and full orchestra.
If I were in the audience listening for things, I would say I'd listen for how the motives and the themes are thrown from one instrument to the other. So it's tossed back and forth in sort of conversational style. And then also there are times when there are certain pairings. Sometimes the two strings will be playing with each other, one playing a melody and the other accompanying it. Other times the piano is accompanying one or other or both of the strings at the same time. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversational quality to the piece.
It's great to have Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony on the season immediately after a concert with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, because Tchaikovsky was inspired by the world of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. As Beethoven struggled with the idea of fate, moving toward triumph, Tchaikovsky does the same thing, only in a larger scale symphony. He begins, like Beethoven, with something that's stark and oppressive in the fanfare with the horns, but by the end, the symphony is driven by exuberant outbursts and lots of cymbal crashes that drive it to the end. Along the way, we have the incredible loneliness and angst of the second movement that pairs such beauty and such pain, and the lightheartedness of the constant pizzicato third movement. Like Beethoven's Fifth, Tchaikovsky wanted something that took us on a journey from struggle and turmoil to triumph, and he does it in magnificent form.